iZombie Episode 2, Brother Can You Spare a Brain? Now, for anyone who may have seen the duo review I did with my girlfriend for the series premiere of this show, the only reason she's not doing this review with me is actually because I work really late, so by the time I got back and we were able to watch the episode, she was already, pajamaed up and everything, so if I can somehow convince her to actually do the review, it won't be until, the next episode is already out, because I'm actually going out of town, unfortunately, but if you enjoyed, us doing the duo review, hopefully I'll be able to get her back to do a review for this episode, because I think she enjoyed it a lot more than the first one, and I know I did, because I think it had a lot more really funny moments that we were both kind of laughing a lot at, and also it was just overall I think a much better episode. Like the introduction episode, being the first episode, I think there's always something where it's just they introduce characters, unless it's sort of an action show, which can be really easy, blow this up and punch that. For a show like this where they have to develop, characters and things like that, you can do some simpler stuff, and it works for the first episode, and then the next couple episodes are where you kind of expand on every little question you introduced. And we got to meet Blaine in this episode, who was the guy who kind of turn Liv into a zombie. I don't know if they actually said his name at all in the episode. I got his info from the info, on the episode from the cable. But we got to meet him, and he is, of course, actually a bad guy, and he's hiding it for now, but we're going to see exactly what his plan is, because initially I thought, okay, he's the bad guy who, he's a zombie, but he just, he eats people, he doesn't really give a crap. And then it was he turned the one woman into a zombie, which I thought he was just killing her. And then we find out that it's, he's going to try to take over the city, I guess, the drug world or whatever, and take it over by turning everyone into zombies. And the new drug is brains, I guess. So it was kind of crazy to watch him turn this woman into a zombie and then say, for $25,000 a month, which is insane, because there's just so many ways she can get brains. But, he's gonna, basically his plan is to, start up a racket, hey, you're a zombie now, and, for $25K a month, I'll give you brains. I'll keep you running, and, his plan is to initially it was to use Liv, but obviously that fell apart even in this episode when she saw him with the other guys. And, he's going to try to use her to get brains, and in the preview for next week's episode, we got to see that she's kind of pushing him off, she saw that was it, because he was hitting on her, and he was, kind of a douchebag, and then, of course, just him being a zombie in general and turning her into a zombie, that's just an extra reason for her not to like this guy, so she's already going to be pushing him away, and he's trying to start up this whole new business where he can take over the city and kind of control people, which is going to cause, at some point it has to cause, mass hysteria, where he can't keep up with things, because he's going to, of course, try to bring people in and all this stuff, but, at some point it's just going to be too big, and people are just going to go out and, kill zombies. I don't need to listen to this guy who turned me into a zombie. I'm pissed off at this guy, but I got to get brains. I'll just be evil just like he is. Some people are just going to do that, so I have to assume we're going to see that at some point, maybe not anytime soon, but it was cool to get that side of the show. It's, the other zombie, really. He's the other zombie. He's kind of the opposite of Liv, where he's, the bad guy instead of doing, good. She even works with cops, so he is almost, the polar opposite of her, where he's, killing people, and he used to, work with people who sell illegal drugs all over the city and stuff like that. His boss, for whatever reason, thought he was the one that did it, even though he was the one selling the drugs to the people at the party. And something I noticed in this episode is that people don't seem to note the way anyone looks in this show. They talk about it in the first episode with Liv, and then Blaine mentions it when he sees Liv, the way she looks, because he didn't know that anyone else was a zombie. And, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, and he was just lying to her. I feel like if he really didn't, then his idea to take over the city came from Liv being another zombie, and realizing, hey, if I can actually turn people into zombies, because he realized that he did it by scratching her, then, that's kind of where he got the idea, I can just, scratch one person here and there, no big deal, and then boom, I have, you know, a ton of people looking for a supplier now. But you know, no one seems to mention like, hey, you look incredibly pale or dead. Really, like no one seems to mention that for like the character Blaine when he meets like the two criminals and how he looks, because it seemed like that was the first time they'd seen him since the crazy accident, which was 6 months ago. Like a lot of people thought he was dead, which makes sense because he, you know, went zombie mode. He probably didn't want to be around people trying to figure it out. And it seemed like this was the first time they saw him, and like they didn't really mention like, hey, you look like a, you know, a zombie. You look, you know, all white, and your hair is like completely white and stuff. You look really different. And then like the woman he picked up at the bar, is like like my girlfriend mentioned this. For Blaine, it looks like he's actually a zombie. Like he really looks like a zombie. And then for Liv, it kind of looks like she's just wearing eyeliner, and it's true. That's kind of how it looks, and I guess that's just due to the fact that men, typically speaking, don't wear eyeliner. And even on Blaine, it seems like they do it differently, and that's probably on purpose because for her, it's like she would try to keep it different so people don't, you know, talk about it as much. And for him, as like the guy who just goes around eating everyone, he doesn't give a crap. So it looks like it's almost like eyeliner, but it looks like it's kind of smudged across his eyes, so it's like it's completely black, and then it kind of fades out, but it's not like it just stops. It kind of smudges into the rest of his eyes, and I think that's where the difference comes in. Like it's not completely cut like how they have it on Liv, and I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to know. And maybe it was on purpose, maybe it was just it just happened to look that way in the episode. But that was something I noticed kind of for his character, where it's like the guy who doesn't give a crap and just eats people or turns people. His, you know, he really does look like a full-on zombie all the time, even when he doesn't have the crazy eyes. And speaking of the crazy eyes, we got to see Liv do that again in this episode when the one guy was like basically trying to rape her, really, and it was really weird scene. And she like headbutts him and basically breaks his nose, and it seemed like it was way more than just like, oh, she headbutted him the right way. It seemed like when they do that, they have, you know, they have super strength. We saw her like rip the windshield off of her car in the last episode, so it was cool to see. You know, it's like a small little thing. I kind of wish it lasted a little bit longer. Like if he got a little faster and was able to catch her, and she like just punched him and knocked him down or something, it would have been cool to see that. Like just to see it, because it would be kind of interesting. But I really liked this episode. I thought it was really cool. It was really funny. Getting to see Blaine and them kind of expanding on his character and, well, really introducing his character, and us finding out that he's really just going to start turning people into zombies, it's going to cause a lot of issues for Liv when she finds this out. I mean, there are tons of people in whatever random city they're in, of course, but he's going to eventually turn enough people where someone's either going to screw up or really not care to pay him and just be like, well, screw you, I'll just go get brains myself. And he'll probably try to, you know, take them out or something. But there's no way that that's going to stay, you know, his little secret forever. And obviously, him and Liv are going to be having some issues because she's not going to want to help him because he was a douchebag before they died, and he's kind of a douchebag now. And, you know, she saw a random moment, but obviously we saw the fact that he turned a woman, so still a douchebag, still just a crappy guy. Unfortunately, now he can turn people into zombies and randomly get super strength when he gets really angry, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But I definitely like this episode. The main mystery, you know, the crime that they had to solve, I thought was actually really good. It was like a bunch of twists over and over again. I actually enjoyed that because there were so many different obvious answers, and it's like, okay, well, it could easily be her because he has another girlfriend or something, and then it's like, okay, well, she knows that he sleeps with other women, and then it could easily be the friend because he's obviously in love with the wife, and he knows that his friend is sleeping with his daughter, and all this other stuff. And then it ends like he didn't even know that his daughter was pregnant, but the wife did, and the detective ended up being right in this case where it ends up being the spouse. So I actually thought it was cool that it had a bunch of twists, and we even got to see, I believe, actually I think Murphy is the detective. I can't think of the other coroner's name, but I thought it was actually cool that he solved the case that way, where he just looked over and it was like, it just clicked in his head. Like, initially we thought it was someone who's 6'2", 6'3", which was the jealous boyfriend and the best friend, and then it's like he saw that Liv was standing on like a little ledge or whatever, and it's like that's where he died, and the blood splattered on these steps. So it's like this, the killer was standing, so it has to be someone, or it could easily be someone who is actually Liv's height. And I thought that was just a cool way to solve it, where it was just like it kind of came out of nowhere, and it just clicked in his head like, hold on a second, we were looking for these, for tall guys, and then just he randomly solved it by seeing something that they hadn't really thought of. It was a dead guy at an angle. It has to be, a person this height, but, artist studio, and boom, there you go, the steps. So I definitely enjoyed that. I thought it was cool, but all the different twists and stuff. Liv was really funny in this episode, like the skills that she got, the over-sexualized personality was really funny. That was, most of those were the moments where we kept laughing. And she just kept coming on to people and stuff. It was really silly. And the painting was really cool. And it led to a really great moment at the end, which was very dramatic, when she was really getting attached again to her ex-fiance, the Major. And I was, I thought it was a good scene. It was like, she wanted to be with him, and then it's like, all this time that I've been trying to be with you, you've been pushing me back, and now all of a sudden, you just you can't stand being away from me. I thought that was a great scene, and it'll probably affect their relationship going forward, which is already a really weird relationship, obviously. But it was definitely a great episode. I really like this one a lot more than the first, which I still thought was good. But this was definitely a great second episode to expand on the characters and get to see a little bit more of some of the characters. So I thought it was a good one, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And what I want to know is, what do you guys think of Blaine as far as a character? He's really like our evil zombie now. So, what do you guys think of him? Like, is he a good character? As far as being written, he's obviously a bad guy. But do you think he's well written? Do you think he's kind of a cool character? Because I really love his personality, where he's the sarcastic villain who's smart enough to get away with certain things. And like when he turned the woman into a zombie, he's like, oh, you changed your hair color. And he's like, that's a joke. And then he's just like, can I come in? And he walks right past her. Like that personality that he has. I always like that in villains, because it means they're smart. They aren't just like, oh, I'm gonna punch you and kill you, or choke you or whatever. I'm a smart guy. I can mentally think about stuff. I can get $25,000 a month. I can do smart things and not get caught. So I like his character, but I want to know what you guys thought about him. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.